Good afternoon. I would like to welcome you to another Remnant Cancer Support Group meeting, which we have live every 2 weeks on a Saturday at 12 noon. Today, I am so excited about today's interview that I'm going to be having with an awesome woman of God. Um, I met her probably about 3 or 4 years ago when I started Remnant Cancer Support Group, and she supported me in my endeavors. And so today I want to come with you with an awesome testimony and also with how she persevered through her cancer diagnosis and how she is still fighting. So today I introduce to you Miss Sheena Burgess. So excited to have this woman of God with us on today. Hey, Sheena. Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. I just shared with the audience that you're an awesome woman of God and that you have persevered through your cancer diagnosis. And today you're going to inform them regarding all of the paths and the journeys and steps you've gone through in order to get through your particular type of cancer. Your cancer is unique. And so, if you can first just tell us a little bit about yourself, what do you currently do? You can even tell us how your cancer was located or diagnosed. Just give us a little history of that.
Okay. Well, I'm Sheena Burgess. I am a board certified behavior analyst or BCBA, and I work with children who are diagnosed with autism.
Mm,
So I pretty much help them with daily skills and things like that and work with the behavior techs and parents. And before that, I was a school social worker. So kind of always work with kids.
okay.
Um, so how I found out about cancer was in 2011. But um, I was just going to a different doctor because I was like, these other doctors weren't really working. I need a Black doctor, pretty much. And,
Okay.
actually, it all really started in 2005. I kind of just like itchy, had skin issues. They thought I had allergies and things like that. So in
Okay.
2011, I went and sought different help.
Mm,
And I got a biopsy, and they said, you have T-cell lymphoma. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. So I
mm.
like shrugged it off at first until I Googled it and I was like, oh, she said I got cancer? No, I don't. So yeah, so that was kind of how that started. And
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah. So, the fact that you found out was one way, but did your family have a history of cancer? I like to, talk to the audience about that because a lot of times, a lot of our family members, or it'll be cancer in our family, and we won't go get checked out, even though we might have a history. Did you have a history of cancer in your family?
The kind I have, no one to my knowledge has that kind.
Okay.
There were family members who had breast cancer, lung cancer, or prostate cancer, but I'm the only one who has like a T-cell lymphoma. You
Okay.
might have had like, skin issues, like they might have had eczema and things like that, but no one that had anything like I did.
Okay. Can you share with us exactly what T-cell lymphoma is?
It's pretty much like your immune system is fighting against you. Instead
Mm,
of it, not fighting the disease or bacteria, it's malfunctioning and
okay.
doing something different.
Okay.
So pretty much my T cell lymphoma is in my lymph nodes. So
Mm,
they are producing, those I guess they're like white blood cells, but they're
okay.
fighting my skin. So it kind of started in my skin and it makes you itchy. So if you think about it, like if you have a store and when your skin is healing, it kind of itches, that's your
Yes.
T cells are fixing it. So mine are doing that, but attacking me instead.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
kind of goes around your body and your skin everywhere. Yeah,
Wow.
you get
So,
high, things like that.
got it. So, like for everything, even with breast cancer, they give you this long list of symptoms. If you have this, you got that. If you got this discoloration, go and get looked at. In your case, for let's just say someone who doesn't know about T-cell lymphoma, you had the symptom of itching. Is there any other signs or symptoms that comes along with that?
Not really. That's why it's hard to diagnose this kind, because it's called
Mhm.
cutaneous lymphoma. So you initially think it's in your skin. So like I was saying, you might think I have eczema or psoriasis and things like that. But other than that, that's what the dermatologist is going off of. So you
Okay.
initially probably don't even seek treatment from like a hematologist, the
Mhm.
cancer, doctors and things like that, until you get the biopsy that says like, no, this is something deeper.
Okay, understood. I got a huge question for you. So,
Okay.
one of the things that I know about T cell lymphoma, from me and you having dialogue, one of the things that I think is interesting is because with the T cell lymphoma, usually you have to have a bone marrow. Can you talk to us about that? What the bone marrow signifies along with the T cell lymphoma?
Yep. So the type of cancer I have is there's no cure for it. The only cure is doing a bone marrow transplant. So it's basically me getting a whole new immune system because
Wow.
my immune system is malfunctioning.
Okay.
So to get a bone marrow transplant, you have to, go through the whole process with the hematologist. So you, as a patient, you have to be ready to get the transplant. Um, they have to get a donor, and that's the hardest part pretty much, is trying to find a donor, because with that you have to have a match, and most
Yes.
people think the match is from your blood type, like your AB and O, but it's actually it's called the human, how would you say it? It's called HLA. I can't remember how the whole word is worded, but it's long. But they look at that. It's
Yes.
something in your blood that matches in your DNA. It's not your blood type. So the donor will get a swab, and then when the doctor requests to look for other donors, you'll come up on the list. So actually, it was funny though that when I actually needed a donor in 2017, I came up on a list for myself because I actually was a donor at the time. So I thought that was funny.
Wow.
So
Wow. Wow.
oh yeah, so they
Wow.
basically it from just the swab, and you come up on a list, and then they ask you, do you want to donate to this person or whoever the recipient is? They'll actually tell you who they are, and then you say,
Wonderful.
and they do other blood tests to see how good of a match you are, and they're looking for an 80% match. So
Okay.
your HLA has to match the other person's, because I'm
Mm.
basically taking on your immune system. So I have to make sure I'm a good enough match so my system doesn't, or their system actually doesn't attack me because I'm
Wow.
foreign. So it has
Wow.
to be, yeah, it has to be a very good match. It's a lot to it. So.
Understood. Understood. Now, I know earlier on, because I think it might have been in 17 when you had that huge event that I came to.
Mhm.
And what I found to be interesting about that event, Sheena, is that a lot of African American people do not give. And what I mean by that, give blood.
Yeah.
We don't do anything. We don't give our hearts away. There's other body of believers and people who are like us who give blood and so forth and so on. What would you say to the African American community? Because you just shared with us, really, the bone marrow is something as quick as them swabbing your mouth. What would you tell them about being more supportive in that arena of giving?
Well, it's really important to give because there's not a lot of people in the African American community that do give. And I think when I was looking at the statistics, it's only 25% of people who are actual donors for bone marrow. So that's
Wow.
the issue right now. That's why I don't have a match, because there's not
Wow.
people to draw from.
Wow.
So, and it's not really scary process. It seems like it because everybody's scared that it's gonna hurt. Are they gonna cause me more pain from donating to you? Do I get something from that? And it's like a blood test, pretty much. It's like
Wow.
drawing blood. So they actually take your stem cells from your blood, and they do something with it. I'm not really sure what.
Right.
They take it and they grow it. They give you medicine, so you have enough to give me. So you're not losing anything. And
Absolutely.
they infuse it to me. And sometimes you also will get it's called a bone marrow like biopsy. They do
Yep.
go into bone marrow, but still that doesn't really hurt.
Mm-hmm.
The pain you probably will have is bone pain, which technically I get all the time because I have like, I don't know if you can see it, this thing on my arm.
Yeah.
Is what they will put on you to
Okay.
grow your bone marrow.
Wow.
And you'll feel your bone marrow actually growing, so your bones are hurt. But that's the
Wow.
most that pain you'll feel, and they'll take that out and then give it to the recipient. So it's not really a scary thing. Nothing's going to happen to you.
Okay.
Just being aware and understanding, why people need it and why it's important. So I think if you do your research on it, you'll understand like, okay, it's not what I thought it was going to be.
Wonderful. Do you think, this is just my thought, because as you were talking, I'm a breast cancer survivor. I think a lot of times we deal with a lot of fear. Do you think that's a factor in our community? Just
Yeah,
the whole thing about fear. It doesn't matter if the bone marrow and.
Yeah, I think it still is a lot of fear.
So do you think fear is huge in our community?
Yeah, just because I think we don't have an understanding of what they're looking for. Like, is it fear, like I said, in donating, what's going to happen to me giving that to somebody else? If I give a kidney, what is my life quality is going to look like after that? So it's a lot of those, and maybe even like superstition beforehand. I don't know all of those, but it's a host of things. But just like I said, once you really understand to know what is being asked of you, and it's not like I said, a scary thing. You're helping somebody else in the long run. So you can't take it with you. So help them, like help somebody else survive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're absolutely correct. And so you gave us some really good information. And I think another thing that people deal with when it comes to fear, because they don't know the information or they don't know what it looks like. So just hearing the sound of bone marrow, that sounds like it's a difficult thing. And I think because we're not educated in a lot of things and we don't go and do our research, that's when the fear overtakes us. Some questions, because I know for a fact, I know some of the people in your ministry, your pastors and some of the elders over there. I want to know, can you talk to us about your support system? Even when you got diagnosed, how did your parents, how did your siblings, how did your church family, take on that love to embrace what you had going on?
Well, I had a lot of support. I have a lot of prayer warriors. I have like super village, like anything that I do, they're there.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they did keep me going. Sometimes it's kind of like, this is one more thing. There's always one more thing. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like God kind of like prepared me for it.
Yes.
Because like before I even knew I had cancer too, I worked with kids at U of M in the bone marrow transplant unit. So I was like,
wow.
Yeah, that's how I became a donor in the first place before I needed.
Wow, didn't know that.
Like, okay. And then at one point I also like decided I wanted to read the Bible. I read Job. I was like, guess what? I was like, me too.
Right.
Like God prepared me for a lot of it. And then I have all the support and everybody's always encouraging me. I have like my church family, my friends, my sorority.
Yes.
Like it's so many people. So like if ever I feel like I'm down on something, somebody else will be there to pick it back up. I'm like, nope, you remember whose you are. So I'm like, okay. Because this summer was really hard. Like I went to Connecticut to have a different type of chemo.
Okay.
I was planned at all. I ended up on a vent. I had some type of like brain like swelling to a point I couldn't even talk. So like me talking right now, I couldn't do that.
Okay.
So even in the midst of all that, I still was like, I was okay.
Yes.
So, and sometimes like, I know my family kind of struggle with that because they're watching this happen to me. And they're like, I don't know if you're going to make it. I don't know what's going to happen, but I never thought I wasn't.
Right.
It was just going to maybe take a little bit longer, but I always knew that, God had it together.
Amen.
Like my sister told me, like he wrote the story. I'm just in the middle. So
Yes. I know we had the title of this meeting today, this interview, Strength of an Eagle. And every time I think of an eagle, I think of you because you have a strength that some people who would have had T-cell lymphoma would have probably broke down, gave up in the fight. And the fact that you have continued on in the fight because you've been in this for 10, 15 years?
Well, officially just being diagnosed has been like 9, but
9? Okay.
yeah.
9 years. So you've been in the fight for 9 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so what keeps your faith, Sheena?
I just know that God is gonna like heal me. Like
Amen.
much what it is. Like I just know I never have doubt in it. Like I may struggle a whole bunch and it sucks a whole bunch, but it's like I also know like I'm gonna get over it. I'm still able to do everything I always wanted to do. Like nothing ever stopped me. I still joined a sorority. I still went to school and I still became BCBA and social worker and all of these things in the midst of all of it. So it's like God always had my back. So I'm like, why doubt anything now? I mean, even this summer, that was the craziest thing ever, but I'm still here. So.
Absolutely. Now, we got a couple of interesting questions from our from the website. And one of the things they want to know is information regarding the registry, which me and you talked about. Can you tell us what that looks like? Where do they need to go and what they need to do?
Okay, so you will start at beatthematch.org. That kind of gives you a lot of information of what to do. You'll register with them. They should be able to send you the information in the mail, and you will swab your mouth, and then you send that to them. And then pretty much after that, you're waiting to see if you're a donor. And then once you are a donor, then the whole process starts, and they ask you, do you still want to be a donor? And then they do like a blood test to make sure like you are the HLA match for that person. And if you are the closest match, then you'll be chosen. And then again, they're asked like, are you sure you do want to do this? Yep. Okay. And then it's a lot of waiting time because you're pretty much waiting for the patient to be ready.
Okay.
Because the patient also, like me, I will still have to do a whole bunch of different tests too before I meet.
Okay.
So I have to do way more tests than you do.
Wow. Okay. So I like that.
And they include me. They have to destroy my whole immune system so I can get yours. So
wow. Is this like several days process? Is it like, do they do this overnight, or is this like, you come in, you register, they call you in, they do the process. Does the patient or the person who's giving the donor or the giver, is this like they got to stay overnight? Is this a one-day situation, or what does that look like for the person who's giving?
From my knowledge, I think it's just a one-day thing.
Okay.
Like I said, they probably do put like I was saying, the thing that's on my arm to help produce the white blood cells. They might put that on you, but that's literally 24 hours.
Okay.
And then they'll probably take it out of your blood system, but you shouldn't have any pain from that. Like the most pain, like I was saying, it might be bone pain, like discomfort. You can take Tylenol, because I'm literally have this on right now. I'm gonna take Tylenol and I'll be okay still. So it's just a day thing. It's longer for the actual patient. So.
Okay. Amen. Praise God. Now, this is one of our favorite subjects because this is something that me and you have discussed before. And sometimes this question can get kind of tricky because everybody doesn't like to talk about it, especially cancer patients. I always bring this up because I think this is a vital part of just our process and the journeys that we have to go through as cancer patients. And so I want to bring up dating, the reason why I bring that up because it looks different for all of us who have either, gone through cancer, survived it. What does that look like for relationships or, the men that we have met, how do they deal with the situation, or what does that look like for you altogether? I know me and you've had this conversation.
Yeah, like right now,
I get questions that all the time. So yeah, share that with us.
Like right now, I haven't really tried to date in a while because it's just it's too much. Because I struggled initially with like, when do I tell the person I'm dating that I have cancer? Do I tell them in the beginning? Do I tell them in the middle? Like, do I wait for me? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the reaction is going to be. So what I learned so far is like, it doesn't matter if I told you in the beginning, because at least now I guess I'm not invested in it because I'm not as hurt because I told you in the beginning. Like, I don't even know you for real. So I know, and I know it's not going to work out. But I just kind of just be upfront right now with it, but I haven't tried, just because when I did try, even with people who didn't know I had cancer before, we were like friends, and then we became more friends, still didn't work out because they were scared I was going to die or something was going to happen. I'm like, I don't even think I'm going to die. Why do you think that?
Right.
Like, why are you focusing on that? Can we focus on today? So
right. Yeah. And I just think overall that, people have a hard time with that. It doesn't matter if you're a survivor or not. People just have a hard time with the whole dealing with it and them being in a relationship with you as a result, because they don't know. But what's interesting is we don't know either, because guess what? None of us know what tomorrow is going to bring. We can all be here today and gone tomorrow, and it has nothing to do or be associated with cancer. So it's just by God's grace, So thank you for sharing that. One of the things I really want to know, if you had an opportunity right now and you walked down the road and you met someone who has T-cell lymphoma, how would you encourage that individual?
I would make sure they have a support group. I was talking to them about what's going on, because maybe I'm part of that support group because I get that life. Pray, know that God is going to be there with you. Like, it's even though this is what you're going through, what I was told by one of my pastors is that it's not for me, it's for somebody else.
Yes.
So think about it like, okay, this is something that is happening to me and I don't know what to do. Share your story, talk to people, figure out how you can live with it, without having to like dwell on like the bad stuff or what somebody else is going to say or who's going to leave you because of the thing that's going on. So, I mean, hopefully that's supportive to them. Just talking to them, like treating them like the regular person at the end of the day, because I'm still Sheena. Like, I was Sheena the whole time. So act like I'm a regular person.
That is so good, Sheena. And a lot of times we're, I don't want to use the word judged a little bit. What happens is people sometimes, when they see that we're dealing with this type of illness, they judge us and they don't think you're Sheena. They just think you're a sick person like me when I was diagnosed. It's just like, okay, now I can't treat Deidra like Deidra. I got to treat her like this sick person. What would you say for someone who, you meet them and then they're like, oh, she's sick, I got to treat her different, but you prefer to be just treated like Sheena? I want to go out, I want to go shopping. You just share it with us how I'm still doing everything regular. So is that something that is important to you, or do you think people still do that where, they kind of say, oh, well, she's sick, now I got to treat her like she's sick?
Yeah, I don't think anybody treats me different like I'm sick. Maybe they did it at the beginning or they didn't know how to, but because I acted the same, they treated me. I kind of told them how I wanted to be treated. So I mean, I don't think all my friends treat me the same. So I don't have any like difference. I don't remember anybody treating me different. I mean, sometimes when I'm sick, they may be like, coddle me a little bit because, it's a struggle. But for the most part, they are there for me. They treat me so we have conversations. We still go to different things. They know I like my movies, so we all watch movies. That's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna sit and watch movies with Sheena because that's all we can do today. But I'm not treated any different.
Very good, very good. One of the things I want to know from you, and we've talked quite a bit, but given the opportunity of this interview, what is it that you want people to know? Maybe not necessarily about yourself, but maybe just the situation altogether. Is there something else that we didn't discuss, but things that you do believe people need to know? Is there anything else that people need to know about T-cell lymphoma, or your processes, or your journey of how you're getting through?
Well, I think people just need to know it's important to donate to like all the causes, not just T-cell lymphoma, and not be afraid to do it, because you're at the end of the day helping somebody else, survive and continue with their life and live the best life that they can. And always treat the people who are around you with cancer or who have been diagnosed the same. Don't treat them like they're the sickness. They're still who they are. So I think that's really the biggest takeaway. Like, just make sure that, you're there for them. If you can donate. Awesome. Do that. Help somebody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I know in 2017, when you guys gave that big, it was like, I don't want to call it a party, but you had like the people that were there, they were ready to do the bone marrow. It was like really big. And I thank God, because I was just coming out of breast cancer. I think my hair was just growing back, and you guys invited me, and it was so blessed. Will you be doing something like that again? Will there be something like that for you where, people can come and donate right there on the spot? Is that an opportunity as well?
I haven't actually thought about it, because just how the registry works out, even though I may have a big drive, that was kind of like in my honor. Anybody who is registered, they just go in a big database. That doesn't necessarily mean they are donating to me directly. So they might end up being a match for somebody else. So we got to keep that in mind. Like, even though you're like, is this for Sheena? I don't want to do it. No, still do it.
Okay.
Somebody who was like me, because there's other cancers that are also affected that require bone marrow transplant. So I don't know if I'm gonna have one. I probably could, but since I'm about to restart this process, because in 2017 I did have to stop it because I got sicker, and I chose not to do it because I didn't think it was gonna work. You got to wipe out my whole immune system, and I'm like, but my immune system really malfunctioning. I don't think this is a good idea right now. So we're revisiting it this year.
Okay.
So they're gonna have to look for a new donor anyway, because originally they tested 9 people. And out of those 9 people, just from the registry, I matched them 40%.
Wow.
So it's very important for people in the African American community to donate, because clearly there's not a lot of people out there. And then they will match your siblings. So if that person is in your family, like your direct siblings, cousins, things like that, they probably can go through the doctor.
Yes.
And get donated and tested, so they can go to you directly. But that's the only way you can do it.
Okay.
But even siblings don't always match, because I have 2 sisters. They didn't match me. They matched each other. So if they need to match, they can match each other. They neither one have matched me. I'm like, that's awesome.
Wow. Absolutely.
Yeah. So even in your family, you might not have a match. So
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting, because when you think of things genetically and like the bloodline, it's so amazing, because you automatically think, at least in my mind, oh, I know my mother, my brother, somebody's got to be a match because of my genes and etc. So it's amazing how you said none of them were a match, but you automatically think when it comes to family that it's got to be somebody in my family who has it. So
both my younger sisters, my older sister, she didn't match. I think they matched when they had my nephew. I don't think he matched me either. The closest match I did have was my mom, and she was 60, and it still wasn't 80 we wanted. And like on like the match like website, they want somebody like 16 to 44, and if you're already in the registry, you can go to 61. But still, you still want somebody, I guess, a little bit younger. But my mom right now is my best match. So
wow.
mom, like we still can't find anybody else. So I'll still be looking. So anybody who donated after like that 2017 drive, they didn't look at anybody else. So if you're already here, they'll probably contact you if you're or matching my family or somebody, one of my friends who already signed up. That might be calling you. It might be for me, but it might be for somebody else. So
yes. We're believing God. I got another thing I would love to ask you is T-cell lymphoma. Is that something that is just rare? Is it found in African American people, or is it just something that's so rare and unique that, I mean, is it, how they say certain cancers, there's more African American people who have breast cancer. Is T-cell lymphoma a African American community disease? Is it, or is it just unique altogether?
Just kind of like based on my like research and everything, it seemed like it's very unique. Because just my initial research of it, when I was learning about it, mostly it happens with white males that were over 60. I was like, I fit in those territories.
Right.
So it's very unique. It's still African Americans who have it, but I feel like it seems like more Caucasians have it than we do. Don't really know why. And so far they've been researching it and they haven't found any link between any of us and why we got it.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's just something in our genetics malfunctioned one day and that's what happened. So it's not really clear, did we get it from like things we ate, pesticides, there's a whole bunch of theories, but no one has one clear answer.
And that's what's so interesting about cancer is that a lot of times they try to say, well, it's the food you ate, it's, the products that you put on your body and so forth and so on. Have you changed any of those areas? Like, okay, do you eat different? Is there anything that you do differently where, they've kind of programmed us to think, well, we can't go get McDonald's today. I'm not saying we should eat McDonald's all the time, but I mean, I think there's like a little programming there where you can't do fast food at all. So what have you done differently to maybe bring positivity to the body, or what have you done different?
I don't know if I changed a lot.
Okay.
I drink more water. I still drink my junk food and things like that. I try to stay away from like chips and stuff as much as I can, even though I just love chips, but I feel like they do make me more itchy and I have more symptoms. So I try to stay away from that.
Okay.
I think I eat less meat too. Something happened when I had radiation and I just like really love vegetables now. So maybe that helps. And then I have friends who gave me like supplements. I have like aloe juice. I think it's called something like that. Yeah, it's actually really good, and it's supposed to help skin. So, and you're inside your body from the actual chemo. So, I drink things like that. Elderberry to help my immune system. There's little things that people told me about along the way. So I try that. Drink smoothies. I didn't drink those first. So I make sure I get my vegetables in there because I'm not the vegetable eater. So, but that's how I get it in.
Very good.
Try. I can't say I'm the person that.
I totally get it because, of course, 5 years cancer survivor, my thought is I do need to change some processes because what they do is they do kind of program you like, it has everything to do with food and it has everything to do with the environment. So, I try to do things a little bit different, but I'm so glad you shared that with us today. And I'm so excited because my belief is that even though we're doing these Remnant Cancer Support, first of all, let me go here. I want to say thank you so much because when I was introduced to you from one of the elders at your church, you supported me in everything I did with Remnant when I started out. So you came to my big shindig party for Remnant. You supported me. And I just want to say I'm so godly grateful for our 3-4 year friendship that we've had, and the fact that you've been willing to come on this Remnant Cancer Support Group interview to encourage people to be a giver or donor. You know what I mean? Because we don't give in our community. So I want to say thank you so much for coming on here, telling us your testimony, sharing with us what we need to do in order to help other people, because sometimes we don't always have to help people, in other ways. This is another way for us to give blood, or to give, being a bone marrow donor, and so forth. So I just want to say thank you for supporting me in my endeavors when I first started Remnant. And I'm so excited because as a result of this interview, I really do believe somebody's going to give. God is going to, put on their heart to give. And I'm just believing God. I'm going all the way in today, Sheena. Look, I'm believing God that somebody gonna see this broadcast and they're gonna give, and it's gonna be a complete match.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. I got that kind of crazy kind of faith.
2017 was not the year, and that's why I had to cancel it. I'm like, this is it now.
Yes, this is the time. This is now. This is the Kairos moment. This year, they're going to find a complete match. And I'm just so grateful and honored that you came on here today and gave us your time. I really, really appreciate you. I love your church family, all y'all folks, over at Faith Tab. Is that Faith Tab? Yes. And so I'm very grateful for your pastors and everybody on there. So I just want to say I thank you. I love you. Blessings to you. This is your year, Sheena. 2020 been real crazy, but I'm just putting it out there. This is your year. So be encouraged. Thank you so much for being my guest. And we'll be talking and doing lunch. Blessings.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.